Good afternoon. Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Bet. We have a jam-packed day today. We are going to talk a little bit about the Keystone Pipeline, but we have a guest later on, Dr. Brooke Miller. He's going to talk a little bit about COVID, about maybe the protocol once you're diagnosed with COVID, maybe a little bit about masks, but he's also going to talk about the benefits of red meat. So we have a lot to get to today. First of all, though, let's talk about the Keystone Pipeline. I want you to take a look at this quick video.
Pipelines continue to be the safest and most environmentally friendly mode of transportation for oil and natural gas, but the left doesn't care. You see, they don't care about the real world costs, 1,000 existing union jobs, or 10,000 projected construction jobs, and all the other surrounding jobs, restaurants, hotels, you name it. It's absolutely clear that the American worker is being cast aside by the Biden administration.
Canceling the Keystone Pipeline. If the oil isn't going to America, the Canadian oil isn't going to America, guess where it's going? To China. So that gives China a boost in energy. It also gives China those jobs that otherwise would have been in the United States. It also means that America is no longer going to be energy independent, because Biden is going to ban or over-regulate fracking to the point where we might as well ban it. So that means energy in America goes way up. Your gasoline prices are going to go through the roof. Guess what we're going to have to do to get those people who are going to now be unemployed, those people who are now going to need subsidies on their energy? We're going to have to spend money. We don't have the money. Guess where we borrow the money? From China. So China wins sort of three ways by Tuesday. They get the jobs, they get the energy, they get us indebted to them. They're our banker. And as Hillary Clinton once famously said, it's hard to pick a fight with your banker.
Premise of your question is exactly right. We have to stay tough on China, tough on human rights, tough on Taiwan, the South China Sea, as well as cybersecurity. We need to be tough everywhere because they are in the ascendancy. They have a long-term strategy. And as my friend KT knows, if we don't stand up to them now, we will be in a minority and weakened position much sooner than anyone would have ever anticipated.
Absolutely right. We either deal with China now or we don't have an opportunity to deal with them later. And I worry that Joe Biden's policy, he's jettisoned America first, but guess what he's put in his place? China first. It's a sad day when the United States is going to be kowtowing to China, not just for the next couple of years, but probably for decades to come, unless Biden stands up to China and does what we have to do to retain American ascendancy in technology, in cyber, in military, and the economy.
All right, so there's a lot to process there, but I want you to know, okay, so they brought up Hillary Clinton talking about the bank. I want to remind you guys, before we start talking about the pipeline, I want to remind you, today is our contest day, and if you call in, write in, text in at any one of those places up there on the screen, you have a chance to win $1,000. You can win $1,000 by registering on our show and then the 4 other shows as well. So just tune in to Beck, take a look, and you could be $1,000 richer. So anyway, getting back to these people, that was KT McFarland. She was a former Trump strategist, and the gentleman was Doug Schoen, and he was a Democrat strategist. And this was on the Stinchfield show on Newsmax last night, and because I had something else planned, and I thought that is so appropriate with all of the information that they scattered out there.
Right, right. You know, it's how, of course, the news was suppressed about the Hunter Biden, the laptop, the deals that the Biden family has made with China. Who owns our country right now? I don't know. Does Joe Biden get to pick and choose which deals he's going to give China, or do they just tell him? I mean, look at what Keystone Pipeline has done, not just for jobs, but also, we had a guest yesterday that talked about what's going on with our coal industry in North Dakota. What's going to happen to the price of heating your home, cooling your home, running your car? And plus, they've got a 6-cent gas tax going on at the state legislature. Start adding it up, and it's crazy.
And then we have to depend on other countries to get that.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Plus, you got to take a look at the job losses. You know, if you cut off the Keystone Pipeline and you stop all the fracking and you close down the oil fields, you can't drive your car. You can't go up to a gas pump and fill it up. And I've seen some videos where people have been challenging others. If you voted for Biden, then you shouldn't be able to buy gas because he's taking all of this away from us.
But wasn't it also interesting how she pointed out, and I had never thought of this before, she pointed out the hotels lose, the restaurants lose, there's other losses. It's just not the losses that go along with the pipeline. It's everything that works with the pipeline, our whole economy.
We are all connected, you know.
Exactly.
The baker buys from the car mechanic, and, you know, the hotels and the restaurants, everybody's connected.
Well, when you look at North Dakota's economy too, and how many jobs are through the summer, you've got crews moving in and out of communities to do whatever it is, whether it's road construction, pipelines, wind tower, you know, upkeep and repair, whatever it is. And when you're taking 9/10 of those jobs out of that cycle, what does that look like for all these other industries that are already hurting because of COVID policies that obviously don't even get me started? But anyway.
You know, not to be partisan, but it almost seems like if Biden's for it, we should be against it. If China is for it, my goodness, I think we should be against it. And I really looked into it and listened to people on both sides of it, and the tar sands are pretty ugly in Canada. So that's not going to do them any favors in terms of, you know, oil production in Canada. But it is much safer for oil to come through the United States on the pipeline and not over road. And and it is going to cost us a lot of jobs. And oil right now, all these people talking about the Green New Deal, you know, those are the people that take their Learjets here and there. And there are all these people preaching against it are very dependent. They aren't free of this, and so I think they're just going to end up stabbing themselves in the back.
Well, and then they put all those trucks and trains back into play. So all of those trucks and trains are going
Buffett's
to be
happy. Come
Yes,
on,
Warren
come
Buffett
on.
is going to be happy. He owns
Follow
the rail
the
line.
money.
But
Yeah.
all
Follow
of
the
that
money.
pollution going into the air where it can be
Right.
just transferred right through the pipeline.
Right.
They just
if they
don't
care
get
about the environment, not talking about the tar sands, but in the United States, if you care about the environment, that's the best deal.
it. Absolutely. Get it through underground. There's already existing pipelines. Run it right alongside. I don't see where the problem is. But
Well, and then you take it a step further, and there's all the talk about, well, we just need to get rid of fossil fuels because they pollute the earth. Okay, you know, I just keep asking, please show me the website that gives me the link to where I can find out how am I going to store my food because I won't have any plastic containers? How am I going to have a cell phone because I won't have anything that is made? It's all oil-based products that make 9/10 of what we consume every day.
Including
Where's
our
that
food.
going to come from? I want to see the links
Thank
for that.
God
Yes.
they make spandex so we can fit in our jeans nowadays, right? Years ago, they were
On a good
100%
day.
cotton. Anyway, I just had to throw that in.
It's all good, you know.
It's
Pretty soon,
important.
the pseudo foods that we eat are probably made from it too. So, you know, you might just go hungry,
Well, margarine, think about margarine.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
like a
just say-
molecule or two away from being
Well,
plastic
and
itself.
You better think about price of food too, because as this goes on, what is going to be the cost of production for our farmers to plant their crops, to harvest their crops,
Well,
to do the
fertilizer's going through the
fertilizer,
roof
to do
again.
Yes.
all the things? What is going to be the cost to the cattle industry when it comes to processing your, getting your feed ground? All the things
Yes.
that require.
Everything's interconnected, yeah.
Right.
They
Okay,
require
ladies, we're going to
fossil
have to take a quick break. We got a lot of commercials, but I want you viewers to go ahead and log in and try to win that $1,000. A lucky winner's going to get it. So check out the website, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just call us direct at 450-1431 and you are eligible to win. We'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Back.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. If you haven't yet, please take a chance to go ahead and enter for $1,000. You can win $1,000 today by watching any one of our 5 shows. It's the Beck News Fast Cash, so call in. We're going to go ahead and move right along. We have a guest here. It's Dr. Brooke Miller. Now, if you've been watching us since the beginning, Dr. Miller has been a Zoom guest of ours a couple of times now. So it is our privilege and honor to welcome him here in person. A little disappointed that his wife Ann couldn't make it, but something about -14 below just wasn't right up her alley. But Dr. Miller is a family practice doctor out in Washington, Virginia, which really isn't too far from Washington, D.C. And we actually met him, I met him while we were lobbying in Washington, D.C. for the cattle industry. He is the president of the United States Cattlemen's Association, and he also is a rancher. And I believe you're in the area today because not only to be on our show, but you're looking at a few bulls in the area.
Actually, I came for the weather, Mary.
You came for the weather. Of course he did. Of course he did. And I want to tell you something about the weather. And these pants that everyone thinks that I'm wearing today, these are actually my snow pants. And I can prove it. I have one of those plastic clips. I can clip my mittens on if I wanted to. Anyway, I just had to do that today.
Insulated.
Yeah, so anyway, tell us a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about COVID. You've had some patients come in with COVID. You've had COVID yourself. Tell us what you know about COVID.
Well, like most everybody, I was like Christopher Columbus when he sailed the ocean blue at the beginning. We really didn't know what to think, and we're sort of finding our way as we go. But now that we have more experience with it, we're much more comfortable with it, both in how it's transmitted, the severity of the illness, and who's at risk, and the best ways to treat it. Being from a rural area, it took a little while to get to our area, our neck of the woods. Back when New York City and all the highly populated areas were getting hit back in the spring, we really didn't see many cases. But this fall, we've actually had our fair share, and we've become a lot more comfortable and a lot better at treating it.
And so what do you do? What is your protocol for treating it?
Well, the first thing I tell my patients is the thing that's going to get you through this illness is a healthy immune system. We can't do anything about our age, so as we get in our later years, our immune system is not as good. But there are things that you can do about your immune system to get you through, and they're basically the basics: a good, healthy diet, daily exercise, and 8 hours of sleep. There are also several supplements that should and can be taken. Vitamin D deficiency is a very notable risk factor.
And that's really high in North Dakota because we are such a cold northern state.
I think it's more to that than just cold northern state. We have a lot of vitamin D deficiency in Virginia as well. A lot of it is dietary. Most people in this country follow the dietary guidelines, which is a pet peeve of mine, and most of the food that meets the dietary guidelines is supplemented with sweeteners, specifically high fructose corn syrup, and high fructose corn syrup, lo and behold, causes vitamin D deficiencies.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So not only does it cause you to be obese and diabetic, which are also risk factors, but it causes vitamin D deficiency. So we recommend vitamin D, and you should visit your physician and see what your levels are. But routinely, we recommend between 1 and 3,000. Sometimes women, postmenopausal women, we recommend 5,000 just because it's so important for prevention of osteoporosis. Vitamin C is also a vitamin that is been shown to be very helpful. Zinc actually acts as an antiviral intracellularly. And there's a supplement called quercetin, Quercetin, that acts as an ionophore that transports the zinc across the cell membrane into the cells. And then interestingly, there's a supplement, it's actually a natural hormone called melatonin. Everybody thinks of that as a sleep hormone, but it also is an anti-inflammatory medication. And as we age, our melatonin levels drop dramatically. And one of the theories is why young children are not as effective is because their melatonin levels are thousands of times higher than adults.
I never heard that. But that also explains why elderly complain about not being able to sleep at night too, I would think.
Oh, that's one of the things, things. And then, there are some repurposed medications that have been around for ages, and thankfully there are physicians all over the world that are reading up on these and have used these, and they are safe and effective, and they're are showing excellent promise at both prevention, prophylaxis, and treatment. The specific one that I'm using is ivermectin. We use it in high-risk patients that don't want to get the vaccine, and we also use it like in households or contacts of people who've come around COVID, and it's quite good at prevention of COVID if you've been exposed, and then also treatment in an outpatient setting to try to keep people out of the hospital.
Okay, so they can take it to prevent it. Is it something they would take daily, or if you take it for a week, then that kind of builds something? How do you take ivermectin to prevent?
Well, it's given orally. It's very inexpensive and it's very safe. It's used worldwide. Interestingly, it is over the counter in many tropical countries, third world countries, because of problems with parasites, and it's an anti-parasitic. And if you look at the map on those countries, you'll see that their COVID rates of death and COVID rates are dramatically lower than in the developed world. So right now, I follow a website called Frontline COVID Critical Care Alliance. It's flccc.com, and they update their protocol every so often as they gather more information. It's run by some very high-level physicians all over the country, headed by Paul Merrick out of the Eastern Virginia Medical School. He's an intensive care specialist and a pulmonary specialist, and they've been treating COVID ever since day one, and they've come up with this protocol, and it lists the vitamins that we talk about and then also how to take the ivermectin. Currently, the ivermectin, if you have COVID, the protocol calls for 0.2 milligrams per kilogram daily for between 2 and 5 days, depending on your symptomatology. If you've been exposed, it's basically a dose on day one and then 48 hours later. And if you continue to be exposed, then it would be weekly. For just general preventive measures, I think the protocol right now, I haven't checked it in the last week, is 0.2 milligrams per kilogram every 2 weeks.
Okay, so we say 0.2 milligrams per kilogram, that's your body weight. The
Yes.
kilogram is your body
Yeah.
weight. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so we have less than a minute to go. For example, say someone maybe got some ivermectin from a friend in Mexico. Can you just take that, or is there the protocol would be once a week? Would that? I'm just using a hypothetical.
Hypothetically, I can't give any recommendations for ivermectin that's not pharmaceutical quality, but I have been in the cattle industry, knowing a lot of cattle people. They've told me that they've gone to the co-op and gotten some ivermectin.
Yes. All right. Okay, and I heard that the horse ivermectin is better than the cattle ivermectin. Just had heard that from someone. Anyway, we have just maybe 15 seconds left, so I just want to remind our viewers about our contest. Seriously, you guys, we're giving away $1,000, and if you want to, you can't win if you don't enter. So if you want to call in, we do have 450-1431. You can text to that number as well. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just submit a message to let us know that you're watching today, and we'd love to give somebody $1,000. We'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck Communications is hiring. Beck Communications is seeking qualified candidates for plant technicians in our Wheatland, North Dakota location. Beck Communications is an equal opportunity employer. To view the job details, visit www.beck.coop. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to careers@bechtel.coop. Beck Communications, making connections that matter.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during any show on Thursday in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. I hope you've all had a chance to enter the contest. We've been visiting with Dr. Brooke Miller from Virginia today and really got a lot of great information regarding the protocol to try to prevent COVID. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the ivermectin? How easy is it to get? Like, do you struggle when you give a prescription? Do you struggle? Is there enough on hand?
There should be. Initially, You know, I called some pharmacies and told them that I was going to be using it. And initially there was a little, patients had to travel a little ways to get the ivermectin, but our local CVS pharmacy in Luray, Virginia is carrying it, and all the CVS pharmacies in the area are carrying it. I know Walmart has not carried it, and I had a little run-in with one of the pharmacists at the Walmart, and I had to tell them that that wasn't their role to decide whether my prescription was valid or not on a medication that's approved by the FDA.
Good for you.
Yes.
They got hung up on it was not FDA approved for this treatment, and everybody knows in the medical world that if we couldn't use medications off-label, they had to be approved for everything we use them for. We couldn't practice medicine. So it should be pretty easy to get, especially if you clue your pharmacy, your local pharmacies in that you're going to be using a lot of it. Sure. So it was a little bit hard at the initially, but not now.
So how do all of the protocols get handed down in the medical field? Because it seems, you know, from press that we're seeing doctors and medical professionals on one side or the other regarding the protocols that they use, the medications they use, whether to mask, whether to get the injection, those kinds of things. So how do you decipher all of that?
Well, hopefully most physicians try to stay up on everything and look for information, medical information that's not in the lay press. People in the lay press really do not understand how medicine works, how medical studies work, and that's been one of the great frustrations with this illness that I have seen, is that we have so many armchair quarterbacks or people that are experts because they know how to read, but they have no experience. And basically it's your physician's job to be up on everything and go out and search for what works and what doesn't work and decide what they think is legitimate and what they think is not. How I learned about this protocol was actually a friend of mine sent me a link to Department of Homeland Security Senate hearing on December 8th where Dr. Pierre Corey testified, and they had other doctors testifying about outpatient treatment and using repurposed medications. And it was quite, you know, I tell him that he is probably responsible for saving several of my patients' lives. Because right after that, or right after I learned about this protocol, my wife and I treated this 88-year-old woman with dementia who was quite ill. And it took her a little while to get back, but within 12 hours of being on the ivermectin, she had improved significantly.
Wow.
Awesome. 12 hours. I've heard of people being on a ventilator for 2 weeks, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
You know.
By the time they get on the ventilator, usually it's the inflammatory. We're trying to prevent that.
Right.
It's usually the inflammatory cascade that causes the problems in the lungs that basically pulmonary emboli and blood clots in the lungs that prevent them from oxygenating.
Did you see any, when you talked about the Senate hearing, I had watched some of that too, where's the disconnect between what went on in that Senate hearing and the good testimony on, you know, diet and all the things, and then what the CDC puts out?
Yeah.
What and why is there such a disconnect? Do you have any thoughts on that?
All I can say is this illness has been politicized dramatically, and I don't know why they're suppressing. The things that threw the red flags up in my mind was when there was evidence to suggest that hydroxychloroquine was a good, effective medication, and there was so much pushback, and everybody was saying how dangerous it was. Well, I've used hydroxychloroquine my entire medical career, and nobody ever told me it was dangerous. I mean, there are precautions you take, but it's not a dangerous medication, and we have lots of people on the medicine.
But Orange Man bad.
Well, you know, I think that's a little bit superficial. I think that was. I think a lot of it was that, but I think there are powers that be that it's got to be something to do with money. It's got to be something to do with money.
Well, when you have these new medications and they're
Yes.
you know $600-700 for a prescription versus something like hydrochloroquine, which I heard it's like 50 cents or something like that, as astronomically low expense or cost versus these brand new drugs. And I think if we just follow the money, I think we'll pretty much come to the answer.
Which is so sad and disgusting to me.
Yes.
When you talk about good diet, what do you consider a good diet?
Glad you asked that question. In around 1978, I was in high school, and you guys are probably about the same age as me, and just think about what people look like in 1978 and what they look like now, and it's a result of the dietary guidelines. Yep. There was a gentleman named Ansel Keys who was an epidemiologist, and he set out to prove that beef and fat were bad for you and it caused heart disease and cancer. And he did epidemiologic studies which show correlation, they don't show causation, they study populations. And he studied 22 different countries, and to my best estimate, he only included 8 countries in his study. And he presented it to Congress at the time, and it was a very controversial issue. But they passed the first set of dietary goals. About the same time, the sugar lobby paid 3 Harvard researchers to prove that sugar did not cause diabetes. And so when you take fat out of food, it tastes like cardboard, so you got to add sugar to it. And we had the perfect storm where we have these very unhealthy foods that meet the dietary goals and dietary guidelines. And I think history has proven me correct. The amount of chronic disease, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, Alzheimer's, dementia has just exploded. Most of the people in the world think cholesterol is bad. I personally do not. Every cell in the body uses cholesterol.
Especially your brain.
Exactly. And I'm convinced that a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet is partially causative for the high rates of Alzheimer's dementia we have in this country. Most people are told that they have to eat their whole grains and their fruits and their vegetables, many of which are very high in sugar. When you eat a high sugar load diet, your sugar goes up. And so your body has to get it down, and it produces insulin. Insulin's a hormone, and if you can't burn off that energy, it stores it in fat. And when you get fat enough, it starts storing it in internal organs such as the liver and the kidneys, liver and the pancreas, and it produces type 2 diabetes. So we can cure disease and make people metabolically healthy by eating a high protein, high fat, very low carbohydrate diet. I personally have been on a carnivore diet, which is basically animal products, unprocessed animal products, meat, fish, seafood, pork, chicken, butter, whole milk.
Lots of beef, though. Lots
of beef. That's my mainstay. That's what I eat about 5 nights a week. It would be 7 nights a week if my wife would cook it.
Right. Okay. So
but it's very healthy. It's extremely healthy, and metabolically, it cures metabolic illness and chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is the basis for most of disease in humans, whether it be atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, diabetes, even anxiety and depression.
Sure.
Even anxiety and depression.
Wow. So I got to have you, say it. Beef, it's what's for dinner. I want to hear it out of your words.
And lunch and breakfast.
All right, you heard it here first. Beef, it's what's for dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever you want. Midnight snack, beef jerky.
Beef jerky.
There you go.
And Mary, I don't say this glibly because I'm a cattle producer. I have patients that absolutely benefit from this type of diet, whether it be some type of inflammation, inflammatory bowel disease.
So hang on to that thought. We're going to be right back after these messages, but be sure to go ahead and log on and grab, call in and register for that $1,000 to win $1,000 today. We'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bustin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Win $1,000 from the Beck News Fast Cash Contest. On Thursday, February 11th, watch Beck News programming to be entered to win $1,000. Watch Dr. Duke at 4, Ladies of Another View at 4:30, Down the Road with Joel at 5:30, No Apologies with Becker at 9, and No Filter with Debbie at 10. To enter, contact us during any show on Thursday in one of the following methods. That's it. Visit beck.news for the full contest rules and showtimes. Beck News Fast Cash for $1,000.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We're still here with Dr. Brooke Miller. He's giving us all kinds of great information. We kind of cut him off, though. He was talking about a beef diet, and he just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Yeah, I hear a lot from friends that they know I'm a carnivore some of the time. I wish I could be a carnivore all the time. But like everybody else, I have my weaknesses. But they say, oh, you're just promoting beef because you produce beef, and that's not true at all. Personally, for my personal self, I'm 60 years of age. I work out really hard. I have a very busy life, being a doctor, a rancher, and also working out in fitness. And like most people, I feel stiff and sore when I get up in the morning. But when I'm on a pretty strict carnivore diet, that goes away within a week. I get up in the morning and I'm not stiff. The other things that I've noticed personally is my mental clarity is tremendous. My mood is tremendous. Around Christmas time, I had a poor diet just like most Americans. And my wife and I went back on carnivore on the 4th of January this year. And within 2 days, my mood had elevated tremendously. From a laboratory standpoint, everybody asked me what happened to your cholesterol? Well, my easy answer is I tell you, I really don't care what happened to my cholesterol. But since you asked, my total cholesterol and LDL stay about the same. If I had a high processed diet with a lot of high fructose corn syrup, it would probably, my numbers would go down because I've seen that in patients. But the amazing thing, the two amazing things from an objective standpoint, those are all subjective symptoms that I was talking about. From an objective symptom is I got off blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure was high normal. After being on the carnivore diet a couple of months, I noticed I was getting dizzy when I stood up and my blood pressure was low. So I stopped blood pressure medicine and it stayed low ever since. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, two things that I measure for a person's metabolic health are their triglyceride level. Your triglycerides go up when you're in the pre-diabetic state, and your HDL cholesterol. And my triglycerides were 250 to 300 prior to going on the carnivore diet. My HDL cholesterol was between 30 and 35. My HDL cholesterol jumped to 76. There's no drug on earth that'll raise your HDL cholesterol that much. And my triglycerides went to 50. And I mean, that was proof.
Sure. I know this is going to be our last segment with you. We wanted to touch a little bit about face masks, but I got a story to tell you first. I went to the chiropractor yesterday, and he said, "Mary, let me check your jaw." And so it's like, of course, he checked it. And he goes, "You don't wear a mask, do you?" And I said, "No." I said, "How can you tell?" He goes, "You wouldn't believe all the TMJ and people that have these mask issues because it's strapped over your ears and it holds your jaw in and you're talking like this." And he said that people are having a lot of jaw issues and they're having a lot of lung infections. Can you touch a little bit on face masks?
I have been seeing a lot of TMJ recently. I've never heard that before. Lung issues, it just doesn't make sense for someone with chronic lung disease to be wearing a mask and inspiring his own expired air. I will tell you that I know of no study that shows that masks are effective in reducing viral transmission, especially COVID-19. There are actually some studies that show that they have of no benefit. The people that are pro-mask say they prevent droplets from coming out. But when's the last time you were in public and you saw someone coughing and spitting? What I do know is that studies show that people that wear masks touch their mask an inordinate amount of time.
Can I give you an example of that? I was paying a phone bill yesterday, and there was one gal who wasn't busy, so she had her foot up like this. She was picking something off of the bottom of her shoe, and then she went ahead and pulled her mask, and then she went over, she grabbed her phone, walked over to another counter, and then she grabbed a tablet that they always log in. One of the kids had a problem with a phone. So she did all that. So she's walking on the floor where people go in and out of the bathroom, touching the bottom of her shoe, touching her mask, and then touching all the instruments at this phone store.
Exactly. I mean, studies show that if you have COVID and you cough into your mask, they can culture as much or more COVID on the outside of the mask as they can on the inside of the mask.
Bingo.
And I'm a firm believer that this virus is transmitted, like most viruses, hand to mouth. And if you're carrying COVID, you're going to carry it everywhere you go, and you're going to put it on everything you touch. I think that all they are is window dressing. And unfortunately, our media has done a great job of saying how much they work without any evidence that they do. And people are terrified. On the way out here today, in Dulles International Airport, everybody was masked. You had to be masked. Mm-hmm. And people are just terrified of other people. They won't come close to people. Yep. They will not come close to people.
Sad. That's the sad part.
Truly it is.
Truly.
The psychological damage that this illness has caused in our country has been overwhelming. I've had patients tell me they didn't go to the hospital because they had chest pain because they were afraid of catching COVID. I had a little boy in to see me yesterday who was having problems with anxiety and depression. He's not going to school. He's going to school virtually. He doesn't want to go anywhere because he's afraid he's going to bring COVID home to his grandfather.
Yep.
How
I've
sad
seen
is that?
Studies from places like Chicago where they were talking about school-aged children, and I don't have the exact numbers in my mind, but it was something like there's 14 children in that whole big metropolitan area that have died from or with COVID. They said, but there was like 3 times that amount at a minimum that have committed suicide.
Yeah, suicide rates have gone up.
Yeah, so how do you justify not opening the schools?
And I do not understand why there isn't an outcry from the mental health community. They're seeing all this. So are the police and the pressure it's putting on those industries or those people to try and care for all of the people that are suffering from this. For what reason?
I think there is an outcry from the medical community. It's just not being publicized by the mainstream media.
Yes.
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so what can we do to change that? Like just
keep doing what you're doing.
Just spread the word.
Just spread the word. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Do it this way instead of on Facebook because it'll censor you on Facebook if you try and put it out there. Oh, it's sad.
So people just have to stand up for your rights. You have to tell enough is enough. You have to talk to your legislators, call your governor, call your federal, your senators and congressmen. We've got to put an end to this. People are dying of loneliness, they're dying of depression, they're dying of many, many causes, and it's not related to COVID. Yes, COVID is real. It is a disease. But Dr. Miller, could you just tell us a little bit, compare it to any other, I mean, we know it's stronger than the regular flu, we only have like maybe a minute left, minute and a half left.
Well, we really don't know how strong and how deadly it is because of the way the statistics have been assimilated by the CDC. They changed their rules about how they call COVID-related deaths. They're calling people that die with COVID as dying from COVID, and there's a completely difference between dying from COVID and dying with COVID. So we really don't know what the statistics are. But we do know that for over 70 and above, most of the deaths are above 70. So I would think that those people would want to strongly consider getting the vaccine, strongly consider improving their immune system. And it is really not a lot more deadly in school. It's not as deadly in school-age children, so I don't understand why we're closing the schools.
Right.
Young adults, it can be deadly, maybe a little bit more than influenza, but just think of all the people that have lost their businesses, all the people that lost their socialization. It's causing just tremendous destruction in our communities. And I've never been a believer in locking down or we got to open this country back up, or we won't have a country to open up.
There won't be anything left. You're absolutely right. Well, that brings us to the end of this segment. All three of them have gone so fast. For our viewers, go ahead and log on or call us, enter to win $1,000 today, and we'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck, or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. You know, during the break, we had so many questions. We asked Brooke to stay for a few more minutes, and then we'll jump into our lighter side. But right before the break, you had mentioned the vaccine. There's a lot of people that are very much against the vaccine, that the side effects are kind of worse than the cure, if it even cures it. Now, I had just seen an article that the CDC has now said, you know, of course, they want to double mask. They said the vaccine is good, but after 3 months, now you have to go ahead, or you have to mask up again after 3 months, or not quarantine. And and this was just yesterday that I read this. So there's so many mixed messages about a vaccine. Why get vaccinated if it's only good for 3 months, and they don't even know if it's good for 3 months? Do you recommend the vaccine?
Depends on each case. If you're a metabolically healthy person and you're comfortable with those odds, which I personally am, I would not take the vaccine. I would not recommend it. If someone wants it, I would not recommend it. But if you're, you know, this disease has been around long. We know who is susceptible. The really elderly people, or people that are not metabolically healthy, people that suffer from diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity, things like that. And if you're in that category, then I think you should strongly consider taking the vaccine. We do know from, you know, we've been giving a lot of vaccine in our area, and there have not been any really serious side effects short term. But we don't know what the long-term side effects are. So you have to weigh your risk and benefit. And everybody, that's an individual answer that each patient and their doctor have to answer.
Sure. And then can you pop that quote up I had regarding it said, still, people who have had their last shot 3 months ago or more should still quarantine if they are exposed. And so that's where I get the mixed message. This was on the news just yesterday, from Newsmax actually. Vaccinated persons with an exposure to someone with suspected or confirmed COVID are not required to quarantine if they meet all the following criteria. But then it goes on to say, but if they had their last shot 3 months ago or more, they should quarantine. So to me, I've already had COVID. Everybody on our panels had COVID, but yet they still encourage us to get the vaccine, which again, I'm not getting the vaccine. But why would you get a vaccine if you've got the antibodies in your system? Is it necessary?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. Yeah. Okay, you heard it. We had an immunologist on here, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and she didn't recommend it either. So it's been.
Well, I mean, if you have natural immunity, that's better than any vaccinated immunity. And this technology is, what people don't understand is, some people say this is not even a vaccine. This is gene therapy.
Yeah.
They inject you with messenger RNA to produce the spike protein that your body creates an immune response to. And we are sincerely Christopher Columbus sailing the ocean blue. We don't know what's out there with the vaccine. And I think it's pretty wise, if you're of low risk, to take a wait and see approach, because I've seen too many disasters in my medical career. Usually medications come out that are the latest and greatest and have passed all the trials, and then once they get into the real world, something real happens. So I think it just makes common sense to take a wait and see approach if you're not of very, very, very high risk. If you're of high risk, you certainly want to consider it, strongly consider it. Right. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that Dr. Fauci recommended all school-age children have the vaccine. And for one, it wasn't studied in school-age children. But two, why would you give a vaccine that's experimental to a group of people that are at very, very low risk?
Why indeed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
And then they said that in rats, it affected their reproductive system, that they weren't able to have more rats. But anyway, why would you say? So maybe just use it for the rats.
Give it to the rats.
Yeah, let's give it to the rats.
Let's give it to the rats.
Oh, you
We only
gotta
have 2
show
minutes
that.
left. I want to show this quick little clip. I brought it on today because you were going to be our guest, Brooke.
Time, did they?
Okay, so that's kind of how that guy's day went. No, that wasn't our cattle, and it wasn't Brooke's cattle either. But anyway, it's been great having you on our show, and I'm so glad that you were able to come in.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Yes.
honored to be here.
Sure.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Do you have a parting thought? Just a few seconds.
Beef, it's what's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Is
so
there
anyway-
beef bacon? I don't
Yes,
know.
there
there?
is.
There's turkey bacon.
Yes,
is there
there
beef
is. There's
bacon?
bacon,
there-
and
I don't know if there's beef
delicious.
bacon. There's
Good
bacon
pork.
bacon, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, why would you do
There you
something?
go.
Why would you fake a product, right?
Yeah.
Just-
And look
It's
for that
good.
marbling in the meat because that fat isn't a bad thing and it actually gives flavor.
It
I
does.
love that.
Buy local and buy American.
There you go.
Well, you get it all right here on Beck. Anyway, I just want to remind you all to go ahead and check out our Fast Cash. Hopefully you had time to enter, and hopefully someone walks away from watching Ladies of Another View. But you can also go ahead and watch the other 4 shows, but call us at 450-1431. Text us at that same number. You can check out Facebook at Beck TV. All kinds of ways to enter, but you can't win if you don't enter. So we want to thank you for watching us today. We're Ladies of Another View on Beck.